very oldest language on the face of this earth. Chico Vicabia Mapuni, Chineke, and Son of the Isala, Nina Cosa, Nana Jama, Anana Farosi, Okonane, all the other then saw no one Because you will make a difference with your source and we're not going to but you know what? I would like you to believe that someone is because no, I am the solution, and the only way they can get to you is by kicking me out, which is not possible. I have come. Look with you. After I am done with Nigeria, Biafra will be free and enjoy freedom. Biafra will know the importance of freedom and what happens in 5 years to come. Thank you. Keep on supporting evil in the zoo, the more your land will be taken from you. The more your daughters will be raped and abducted, the more your sons will be slaughtered in cold blood. And under one Nigeria, there is nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Because one idiot that they groomed will rise up and say to you, oh no, it's one Nigeria, there is crime everywhere. Haven't you heard about Zamfara? Haven't you heard about Katsina? There is crime everywhere. That is not the case. The crimes you have in the north, the insecurity you have in the north is as a direct consequence of their own actions. They grouped them. Al-Qaeda in the Nigeria, ISIS in West Africa, Boko Haram, Fulani headsmen, bandits, all of them. Who brought them to Nigeria? It's Fulani. Fulani brought them into Nigeria. Everybody brought them in. Why did the government brought them in? Are you the deaf and dumb and stupid? When you come out and you pretend, oh, we are one Nigeria, go and show somebody was asking, where is the boundary, where would the boundary of Biafra begin? And I asked the fool, where did the boundary of Nigeria begin? People from Niger come in and go as they like. Most of these idiots are from Niger. They are building a pipeline to Niger. They are building a rail line to Niger. They are building roads to Niger. Whereas where the money comes from, it is Biafra land. We don't have those infrastructure. No, we don't. But you're taking our money. You come to you come to Onaji, you come to everybody, you come to Agulere, you come to Ebo, you take our resources, sell it, get the money, and now you're building a way to be careful, and you want me to be happy with you. Clap for your Nigeria. One Nigeria. I think you are insane. You come to my land, you take our oil, you take our gas, you take our manpower, you take everything, our VAT, our tax, everything. You are now building a road from Katsina to Niger. Airport to Niger. Refinery to Niger. You take oil from my land, you take it to Niger, you refine it, you bring it back to me as a refined petroleum. And you're telling me that country is viable. You're telling me that Nigeria should be supported. You are in one Nigeria. You're not going anywhere and you're dying every day. Because those that they appointed to speak to you, they gave them money so that they will come out. Pages of the newspaper to give the world giving the impression that everything is okay. When things go and see the contradictions in it. Nigeria is not working. We are marginalized. And then you come back to say Nigeria is one. You must stay in it. Are you not foolish? These are the useless intellectuals that you have. On one hand, you say Nigeria is not working. You are marginalized. You are being discriminated against. You are suffering. They are killing you everywhere. And you come back to the same place and say Nigeria must be one. Had Nigerians gotten together to say they want to be part of this useless contraption, that's entirely their business. I mean, Democrats have subscribed to it. But have you asked yourself this question? Why is it that all those asking you to remain in one Nigeria has something to gain from Nigeria, or they have benefited in the past? Nothing more, nothing less. I saw the letter that Atiku wrote to President Biden. In it, Atiku said, come and help us fight terrorism in order to ensure that there will be no regional destabilization. That is their game plan at the U.S. State Department for very many years, until we stepped in. They keep trotting out these lies. Once Nigeria breaks up, there will be destabilization in the entire region. I said that because you don't understand African history. Most of these people are not people. When I say it, they say I'm insulting them. No, I'm not insulting you. Most of them think in Africa, we are tribal creatures in Africa. In Africa, we are tribal creatures in Africa. We always go back to our village where we are born, where our umbilical cord, our long, where it was buried. That's where we come from. That is why every Christmas, Easter, New Year festival, or August meeting, you see us migrating back to where we come from. And I keep saying these things to Africans, they don't understand it. They don't understand it. Everywhere in Africa during Christmas, if you like, be in South Africa, if you like, let it be in Kenya, let it be in Rwanda, everybody from the capital goes to the village. If you go to Accra, the same thing happens. This past Christmas, if you like, go to Cotonou. 7. And I will pray in English because a lot of people are listening all over the world. I mean, a lot. Millions are listening all over the world. And I want them to follow our proceedings this very evening. Very, very critical, very, very important that we do so. O Lord, my God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, we take refuge in you. Save and deliver us from all that pursue us. Because if you look away from us, they will tear us apart like a lion and rip us to pieces with no one to rescue us. Because the world is against Biafra for no reason. We are hated, we are despised for no discernible reason. Only thee, O Lord God Almighty in heaven, is our Savior, not man. You must come to our rescue. Because you are our Lord and you are our God. If we have done this, if I have done anything, if there is guilt on my hands, if I have repaid anybody, be it friend or an adversary, with evil or without cause, have done wrong to any man or woman, then let the Fulani Janjaweed pursue and overtake me. Let them trample down my life to the ground and make me sleep in the dust. Arise, O Elohim, Adonai El Shaddai, in your anger, rise up against the rage of the Fulani Janjaweed Caliphate and the Zoological Republic. You will rise and you will fight for your children. You will awake, O Heavenly Father, Lord God Almighty, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the owner of the universe, for you must decree justice. Let your children and all men and of goodwill gather around you while you sit on top of your throne in the highest of the heavens, the habitation that only thee can ever occupy. Only you, O Heavenly Father, will judge the people. You will vindicate me, O Lord. You will vindicate IPOB. You will vindicate your children of Biafra according to our righteousness, according to our integrity. O Most High, bring an end to the violence of the wicked. Bring an end to Fulani Janjaweed violence in our land. Bring an end to their abductions. Bring an end to their kidnappings. Bring an end to their extrajudicial slaughter of the innocent. Bring an end to their forced conversion of Christians into Islam. Bring to an end their mediocrity. Bring to an end their senseless feudal rule. Bring to an end their evil and their deception. Come and secure the righteous, because only you, O God Almighty in heaven, can see in the dark. Only you know the hearts of men. You are our shield. We have nobody. Between 67 and 1970, the whole world ganged up and fought against your children. We did not steal anything from anybody. We did not go after anybody's possession nor inheritance. We were on our own in the land that you gave to our ancestors. They conspired, they connived, they colluded to kill us. Over 5 million people. We are dead at the end of it. You are our shield. We do not trust in any man or in any state. We trust only in thee, because you are God and you always save the upright at heart. Anybody whose heart is clean, O Heavenly Father, to those you do not abandon to their enemies. That is why you cannot abandon IPOB. That is why Biafra can never be abandoned. Because your words are yea and amen. You are God, you're not human. Facebook may have been bought over by Nigeria, and we pray that Twitter will not succumb to their threats and their violence. You are God, and you are an upright and a just judge. But you are also a God that displays his wrath every blessed day. If Fulani Janjaweed do not relent in what they are doing, if the Fulani Caliphate continues to pursue this scorched earth policy of abductions and murder and mayhem, then you, O Lord God in heaven, you will sharpen your sword, you will bend and string your bow, you will prepare your deadly weapons, you will make ready your flaming arrows. Whoever is pregnant with evil conceives trouble and gives birth to disillusionment. That is what is happening in the zoo called Nigeria. Nigeria is pregnant with evil because it conceived trouble and it has now given birth to disillusionment. All the holes that the Fulani Janjaweed are digging for us into that pit, they are falling into one after the other. The trouble that they have caused will always rebound on them. Their violence will come down on their own heads. O Heavenly Father, for we shall give thee thanks always, all the days of our lives, because only thee is righteous. We shall sing songs of praise unto your holy name, O Most High. For as long as there is a child on this earth of Biafran descent and heritage, O Heavenly Father, we shall worship your name and your name alone, now and forevermore, we pray. He said, that was our prayer this evening. We are now going to proceed without further hesitation to bring to you the gospel which I have been mandated by heaven to preach to the children of men.
As you all have seen, we are being under attack, and finally we are back. As we are going to wait for our viewers to join back, we are going to go on commercial, which is very, very important. This commercial will take just 2 minutes before we start. We apologize because, you know, when it comes to tech, anything can happen. When the enemies are angry and they are not happy with the progress that is being made on Biafra restoration, you see what is going on now will be going on. But we are very resolute. Giving up is never in our dictionary, and we are going to continue. On this note, we are going to start this program based on three principles. Yes, so we are starting based on three principles. The first principle is the freedom of speech. We are going to visit, you know, what the freedom of speech says, especially most of the international laws about the freedom of speech. And then after that, we go to the state formation, what is being recognized as state. You know, what is the statehood when people, a group of indigenous people or people of same ethnic group are agitating or wanting the freedom or independent or sovereignty state. We are going to go very briefly on that, and then the third one will be on the international standard. The international standard of freedom of first, the international standard of freedom of expression. Two is what the IPOB has filed in 2016 to the International Criminal Court. This communication was done in 2016 by Professor Goran Slota and Andrew Lunazi. Of course, you are very, very conversant with that. And then after that, we start the program. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why do we have to make references to these three issues I have mentioned here? Is because a lot of people will say that, okay, what you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, wait for international community to intervene and all that. But we want to tell them this evening that all these things they are saying, IPOB under your leadership has done even more than expected. And there is nothing to show for it anywhere today. You have written to International Criminal Court. You have hired some of the best lobbyists all over the world. You have done all this, and today we are going to show it to the public for the very first time, the application filed to the ICC in 2016. I know you'll be very surprised that I'm talking. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear, Simon. I'm hearing you. Please
so I'm going to put the application IPOB under your leadership filed to the International Criminal Court in 2016.
Yes.
We are only going to read because it is about 93 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are talking, they are saying something they know nothing about. They don't know how far you have gone with the IPOB, especially to get justice for what the Nigerian government has done to our people. So today I am going to release only one tip of the iceberg, and I'm doing it for the very first time on this program. It's going to be on the screen very shortly, because this program is going to be completely different than what normal what we have been doing all this while. Is going to be completely different. And then also, if the attack is too much that they couldn't allow us to do something or do it the way I wanted to do it, then what we have to do is that we may have to reschedule, and I will set up a Zoom, because I'll be getting a lot of messages from different media as I'm talking to you right now. I'll be getting a lot of messages from different media houses, and they are telling me what to do. They are telling me to do this and do that. So if this doesn't work out, we have to now.
We can have a discussion, and then we can present the evidence afterwards. We can have a discussion today, and then the evidence will be presented later.
Exactly.
But I do thank the viewers and listeners for their patience. They've been patiently waiting, and I can see that the numbers are back up again to where it was before we were rudely interrupted. But we must proceed. We must proceed. Yes.
So before we go forward, could you tell our viewers a little bit about this application I've just mentioned to you, filed in 2016?
In 2016, our lawyers, should I say our attorneys in Europe, approached the ICC to make or to present a very compelling case about the human rights abuses being perpetrated by the Nigerian government against the people of Biafra. As you well know, Goran did a very wonderful work. That was in 2016. Also in 2017, additional work was done by our lawyers here in the United States of America. In 2018, additional work was done by our lawyers back home. In 2019, we hired one of the top human rights lawyers in the world to litigate this very matter before the ICC against the Nigerian government. In that same 2019, and as you said, I believe for the very first time, I'm providing clarity on this very matter, I went to the ICC myself. I went to ICC myself. I was deposed. I told them exactly what was happening. They said we shouldn't discuss it when we go outside, and we've been waiting since 2019. We're in 2021. And instead of doing something about the, should I say, the very relentless pursuit of the Biafran people, the Nigerian government has been emboldened, the zoo has been emboldened into killing our people, not just killing us. We have now arrived at a situation where our women are being abducted and raped in the north because ICC failed to do something for how many years now? 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. We hired people in The Hague on a permanent basis, paying them tons of money to be collecting all this evidence against the Nigerian government for the sole purpose of bringing this matter before the ICC, at least for them to investigate. But due to the overwhelming political pressure on them, they have not been able to do anything about it. The only reason why they issued some kind of statement a few weeks ago, or should I say a couple of months ago, was because of the NSAS protest. If not, they would have mentioned it. I am in the United States of America, where we've hired a very top lobbying firm at Washington, D.C. at huge expense, I must tell you. You also know about the submissions we made to the United Nations. Angela Calamar's report, everyone has read it. We went there, IPOB, she mentioned IPOB and Biafra. You can see that report on human rights abuses in the zoo. I have been to Geneva. I've sat down with United Nations officials in Geneva. I have been to the EU. Most of them have been to the House of Lords to make a presentation before Baroness Cox. I have been to Capitol Hill here in the United States of America, in Washington, to present our case. So where else do you want us to take our cases to before something is done about it? These are the things that people don't understand. Most of the contracts, most of the work we are doing, you cannot see them. You cannot write about them or talk about them. If not for this very program, I won't be discussing this. But it's about time our people realize that we are doing all we can to present all this catalog of abuse and degradation before the conscience of the international community. But unfortunately, Britain is working for Nigeria. There is what I call a climate of neocolonialism still prevalent in Nigeria, and they still see Nigeria as a contraption they created. They still see Nigeria as a place they can come to Biafra and take our oil and gas without paying for it. Therefore, anything that can sustain the false unity of Nigeria is what they are going to encourage. They see Biafra agitation as an antithesis to that very plan which they have, which is to keep this contraption together for them to have unfettered and unrestricted access to our resources. And that is what has been happening. But unfortunately, our people are not intelligent enough to understand it. Every year we spend money. We have somebody in The Hague right now collecting all the evidence, the rape cases, everything, all the murders, all the unprovoked attacks and invasions, everything. But for ICC to call up that very case is another problem. When I say that Biafra is going to be the last miracle on earth, people don't quite understand what I mean by that. Biafrans don't know the number of people and forces against them. They don't understand it. Those of us at the cold face of this struggle, deep inside it, we know who our enemies are, and they are numerous. But I am very, very confident of victory because the God we serve is the one that made this very universe, and his words must prevail. And on that very promise, we anchor our hope, we rest all that we are doing to restore Biafra. And we know that in the end that Biafra will come. We have a lot of enemies, you know. We've not done anything to them. It's Biafrans that built America. We built this very country that I'm in today. Biafrans built the United States of America. The majority of all the hard-working free men and women they took from the western coast of Africa, they shipped them to the USA. They are the ones that made this country great. So they see something in us that we cannot see. They know we are very productive. They know we are hardworking. But above all, Britain knows that we are blessed. It is that blessing from God that Britain doesn't want to see rise up in Africa. And that is why they are using very primitive Fulani people to try to suppress us. You saw yesterday that Britain, BBC was advertising army positions, asking you, even telling you what you can get the forms to join the Nigerian army. And I know that BBC functions on tax, or should I say license fee payers money in the UK. They don't accept any advert. So how come BBC Pidgin in Nigeria is advertising for people to join the army of Nigeria for free? Because they are, of course, agents of neocolonialism. They're working for Britain. They want Nigerian army ranks to swell up so they can suppress any measure of uprising against the very decaying, crumbling, damnable zoological republic. What our people need to realize is this. What we go through on a daily basis to ensure that our cases are heard all over the world is immense, everywhere, especially here in the USA. But if the world continues to turn a blind eye and they continue to kill, to rape, to murder, to slaughter people, to take our land, do you expect us to put our hands and do nothing? The answer is no, of course. We must fight because we have our backs now against the wall, and that's what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ohamadike, one of Biafra. Another thing I want to, this is just an introduction to what we are going to discuss this evening. Another thing I want to ask you is that, there is a man called Peter Smithers. Peter Smithers in 1998. In 1998, wrote a Nigeria lesson from Sir Smithers. Sir Smithers said the negotiation that the Nigeria as a state was a grave mistake. After 40 years, it is clear that this was a grave mistake which has cost many lives and will probably continue to do so. It would have been better to establish several smaller states in a free trade area. The exculpation, it must be said, that we did not then have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia and of the Soviet Union before our eyes. This was a man who was the parliamentary private secretary to the Minister of State and the Secretary of State in the Colonial Office 1952 to 1959. Can you tell us more about what you feel he is trying to do here?
What he's trying to do is to draw our attention to the incompatibility of the various ethnic nationalities you have that make up Nigeria, but more importantly, to draw our attention to the irreducibility of value system in determining who should belong with who in any nation. It's quite interesting that he used Yugoslavia as an example. The funniest thing that people don't understand about Yugoslavia is that they are all one Slavic people. They are all Slavic people, as you have with Russia and Bulgaria and all the rest of it. They are all Slavic people. They are one people, one race. They are predominantly Christians. Of course, you have in Bosnia and Herzegovina during the march of Islam into Europe, that a few of them became Muslims, as you have in some parts of Kosovo and also in Albania. What I am trying to point out is this: these people who are one race, predominantly one religion, cannot live together in a country called Yugoslavia. How about people who are from Senegambia and goodness knows where else? Not the same language, not the same religion, not the same traditions, not the same culture, absolutely nothing. How can you make these people become one nation? Is not possible. That is something we've talked about before, that most Africans don't seem to pay much attention to. We are tribal animals by nature. Africans are tribal by nature. That is why every Christmas, every New Year festival, every August, we travel back to the village. Even if you live in Kaduna, somebody will ask you, where are you from? You say, I'm from Ihioma. Because that is where your ancestors come from. In Africa, we come from where our ancestors come from. But white Europeans can travel to Australia and they're comfortable. They're from Australia. They can travel to New Zealand. They're from New Zealand. They're okay with it. But even if you take us to New Zealand and we stay there for 1 million years, if you ask us where we come from, I will come from Iberia. That is something that is very unique to Africa, and nobody can take that away from us. And that is something that most people do not understand nor have an appreciation for. That is why in Africa, everywhere you go to, be it in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, everywhere, people still talk about tribe till tomorrow morning because we are different. So rather than trying to experiment with us, this sort of very colonial artificial construct. Because mind you, all states in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, are all racist constructs. Those that developed or created Nigeria, that created Togo, that created Ghana, they had racism in mind, not your interest. And this is what we've been trying to explain to African people. If not, why would we go to Lagos during a revolution, or should I say a mini revolution, a protest? And people of Lagos, the people are saying, oh, that Igbos came here to destroy their buildings. But you are all one Nigeria, you claim. These are the things that people need to appreciate. We don't want Fulanis in our land for the simple reason that we don't want to dilute.
Attention, attention. IPOB, one family. This and
Can you hear me?
Sorry about that.
It's okay. What I'm trying to point out, Simon, is this. Forget about all the one Africa. I'm a Pan-Africanist. But we need to start organically. We need to go back to where we come from and begin to build a consensus from the grassroots. When Biafra want to join Oduduwa in forming a nation, we look at all the pros and cons and then reconcile all these things, and then we move together as one. Look at Britain that gave Nigeria, so that colonized and still owns Nigeria till tomorrow morning. Scotland wants to be on their own. Wales will be on their own very soon. Northern Ireland will need to be on their own. That is human nature. You cannot take it away from us. The only reason why they have Nigeria together the way it is, and why we have been complaining, and why authors and great commentators like the man you alluded to has not gotten any traction in terms of people being able to understand and appreciate what he's saying, is because of the way we reason. I say this all the time. Professor Wole Soyinka, a great literary giant, I would say, came out the other day to say that he is fed up, there is war on his doorstep. He knows very well, as an intellectual, so to speak, that the reason why the war is on his doorstep is because Nigeria is flawed. If Oduduwa were to be on their own, do you think somebody will go to, any cow will go to Soyinka's farm to eat the cabbage or the carrots? It won't happen. These are things that we need to understand, that first and foremost, we are tribal animals because life as we know it started in Africa. We are attached to the land we come from. That is who we are. Because the white man can be born in England and come to America to settle for life and say he or she is an American, doesn't mean we have to follow them. Thank you.
Thank you, Onyendu. Now let us now go from the fundamental in the sense that, you know, when people are hearing that we are agitating for Biafra, we want Biafra, some of them in the West, we say the political elite are not shouting Biafra, that they are only those who are in diaspora, you know, like civilized ones are the ones shouting for Biafra. And this is a fact a lot of people don't know. When you look at it, you find out that 99% of people in Biafra are shouting Biafra. 99% of Biafrans in Nigeria are shouting for Biafra. Only 1%, not even up to 1% of this so-called elite. These are the politicians that have been benefited from Nigeria. Now, I want us to look at how will disintegrated Nigeria favor the region before we come into the crisis and the lives that have been lost as a result of trying to keep one Nigeria. Can you tell us, how do you think that a disintegrated Nigeria will favor the Fulani themselves, the Hausa themselves, the Middle Belt, the Oduduwas, the Biafrans, and any other nation that will want to come out of Nigeria? Explain to us. Let us hear.
Before I came on this your fantastic program today, I read a very brilliant piece, or should I say a comment by somebody. The person said that Nigeria is the only place he knows where yesterday is better than today. Ask yourself, at which point in Nigeria's history did they record the highest level of human development? It was when they were on their own, when they were semi-autonomous regions. So there is an already made example there for people to reference, should they wish to do so. It was when this unitary mindset came into existence that things started to fall apart. So if when you were on your own, the North was doing very well, or the West was doing very well, Biafra had the fastest growing economy in the world at nearly 48% every year. Awolowo did his magic in the West. Now tell me, you have a simple example. When people were, should I say, semi-autonomous, or should I say autonomous, so to speak, they were doing very well. Now you are together in one Nigeria. Everything is falling apart to the extent that people are coming from Mali, from Senegambia, from Niger, from Chad, in your backyard, raping and killing you. It's a no-brainer. It's simple common sense. As I said before, that is who we are. Because once you allow an element of stress, an infusion of competition, you get the best out of the people. Right now, we do not have that. Right now, there is no competition. Right now, this thing about one Nigeria, unity is stifling the creative potentials in us, all of us. Yoruba is not doing well. Biafra is not doing well. Middle Belt is not doing well. The North is not doing well. Nobody is doing well. Then you ask yourself, all these glorious reference to our past, what period was it? The only period was between 1960 to 1965. And then you had regions. Who can argue with that? So the more you separate, the more you look inwards, the more you look at yourself, the more you become self-reliant, the more you, do you know that in those days, all the regions that they had embassies abroad? Do you know that? Do you know Eastern region had their own embassies abroad with their flag? Are you aware of that? Most people don't know this. And that was the time that Nigeria witnessed a semblance of growth in terms of human development. Now you have a very, should I say, disgraceful contraption called one Nigeria. And everybody is struggling. Cows are making your lives a misery. If you don't know that going back to autonomy is the best way forward, then there is something wrong with that person.
Onyedu, thank you very much. Just because you know everything we do in Biafra, we stand by the truth. We do everything with evidence and fact. Just to back up what you have just said, I told you about 93 pages of application filed to the ICC. Barely few years of formation of IPOB, because this was in 2016. Barely 2 years. The foundation of Nigeria were shaken by the formation of IPOB and the activity of the IPOB in Nigeria. So on that ground, this application was filed in 2016 January. So I am bringing it to the screen now for people to see. For those who are asking, this is number one. The application has been filed 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and this is 2021. And there is nothing to show for it. And there is a place I'm going. I'm going somewhere with this statement I'm making now, which we are going to discuss, later on in this program. Now, when you read the introduction here, it says, one, this communication is hereby filed to the Office of the Prosecutor, the OTP of the International Criminal Court, the ICC, pursuant to Article 15 of the Rome Statute, the statute, by Professor Goran Slota and Andrew, on behalf of the indigenous people of Biafra, a movement dedicated to self-determination of a former republic of Biafra in southeastern Nigeria, as well as on behalf of 17 individual citizens of Nigeria, the victims collectively, with the IPOB, the petitioner. Two, the petitioner submit that, based on the information set out herein, there is reason to believe that crimes against humanity within the jurisdiction of the ICC, in particular, murder, unlawful imprisonment, torture, enforcements, disappearance, other inhuman acts, and persecution have been committed in the context of politically and ethnically motivated state violence against primarily IPOB members and the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. Due to the absence of domestic criminal proceedings with respect to those potentially bearing the greatest responsibility for these crimes, in particular, but not limited to Nigeria current President Muhammad Buhari, and that was then, and in the light of the gravity of the act committed. Now, this is 93 pages, 93 good pages. The list can go on and go on. Factual evidences, citations, references, up to 93 good pages. And of course, like you said in the beginning, that you do not want to discuss this thing because a lot have been done and people are not aware of it. So just to let the public understand, what the IPOB have done all this while, when people go on social media to say IPOB under leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is doing this or they are not doing that, so this is just one evidence of it, that as far back as 2016, you have started taking actions which are necessary, lawful, and legal actions against the Nigeria terrorist state. But up to now, nothing is happening. But I'm still going to come back to why I am showing this thing, because the actions of today is as a result of the failure of the international community to heed to the call of the Biafra people, of which you have done honorably well in that aspect. So this is just a side comment on what you have said before. Now, going to what you've just said about how Nigeria, how it will benefit the other region and the component that makes up Nigeria, how it will benefit them when Nigeria is disintegrated. And you made mention of what you read, that Nigeria of yesterday, that yesterday is better than today. And that is very awkward fact. Very, very awkward fact that every president that comes to Nigeria, the last one will always be better than the new one. It's not only in the economic sector and all that. But the second question, or the third question I want to ask you is this. Now, looking at what is happening now, a lot of people don't understand what is going on in Nigeria. A lot of people still believe of course, they still believe somehow in Nigeria. They believe that the political structure of Nigeria is the major problem. And we, people following you, have a different view and a different opinion to this. And I think this is where the interest is clashing. Anybody that is shouting for Nigeria today believe that the problem is in the political structure. We are believing that the problem is not about political structure, but rather there is a motivated or there is a premeditated act to take our land and turn it into Islamic State of Fulanize us. So we are not looking at the aspect of the political structure anymore. It is a struggle for survival of our people. I want you to shed more light on this, because those supporting one Nigeria must have reason. And the reason what we have seen is that they are thinking that the political structure of Nigeria is the problem of Nigeria. So can you tell us more about, that it is not the political structure, rather something they should know about?
Thank you, somebody. Something they know about but pretend not to know about it. Everybody knows about the hegemonic tendencies of the Fulani Caliphate. We are well versed in the, should I call it, shenanigans of those people who are always expanding. There was a lecture that I gave that the Fulanis are the only people that continues to expand. Not expand in terms of population, but in terms of territorial influence and supplanting existing cultures and traditions with their own. When we say this, people say, "Oh, you're warmongering, you're profiling, and it is hate and all the rest of it." And I say it is pure nonsense. Look at the history of the Hausa people. Those of you that want one Nigeria, look at what is happening today in Kanem Borno. the place they call Borno State. Look at the fate of those of them in the Middle Belt. Look at the fate of those of them, our brothers and sisters in Yoruba land, Yoruba. Even the Caliphate left their footprints there many, many years ago in Kwara State. Many years ago, they overran Nupe people of Niger State. Many years ago, some of you don't know this. They forcibly tried to convert the Atta of a Gala to Islam. These things are there in our history books. They are everywhere. If one Nigeria means that our land should be surrendered to people from Senegambia, then death is a better option because it's not going to happen. We are the Biafran people, and within that Biafra, it contains a very unique race in the world called the Igbo race. They are very difficult, don't get me wrong, but they are very unique. Very, very unique. I don't think anybody is more stubborn than we are. I don't think anybody is more generous than we are. I do not believe that any race on this earth is more affluent in terms of natural blessing than we are. Anybody thinking they can use the guise of one Nigeria to take the land of our ancestors, that person is dreaming. Them and their cohorts, they are dreaming. And I will tell you why they're dreaming. They have tried before, over 300 years ago, to take that very land. They failed. Islam made it to the sea across West Africa. Islam made it to the Atlantic Ocean. The only place that Islam did not succeed in penetrating is the East. And when they came for that very jihad, we had no army at all. God Almighty in heaven took them and put behind the fought for us. All their armies died. That thing they tried in Kwara State and succeeded, they tried it in Lower Benue, in Idoma and Igede lands, and they failed. All their armies died. The few that survived, they trekked back to Zaria from whence they came. I must warn anybody. All of these people agitating or saying, oh, we want one Nigeria, you are setting up yourselves to fail. You are as foolish as Hausa peasants. Hausa peasants did the same thing you're doing. Oh, allow them, give them land, give them cattle. By the time they woke up, all their kings were dead. Hausa kingdoms became Fulani Emirates. Where you have Hausa governors, you have Fulani governors. Telling you we are Hausa Fulani, we are Hausa Fulani. And I keep asking myself, why is it that people don't see all these things? Is it because they are very foolish? Without apologies to anyone. Because if you are foolish, history is there for you to reference. These people asking you for land, asking you for rule and maintain peace, let's stay in one Nigeria. What are their antecedents? What have they done in the past? Because where we come from, from their behavior in the past, you now know if you can trust them or not. But it's Britain that is behind the scenes, remoting everything that's happening in this. I am a British citizen. I hold a British passport. I know there are good men and women in England. It is a land of conscience. It was English people that left Southampton to come to America to build America, the land of the free. English people, yes. They traveled on a ship called Mary Rose. They landed at a place called New England. Conscientious, honorable, God-fearing people. They were the ones that helped slaves to escape from the south to the north. English people. But there is a breed we have now. Blood-sucking demons. Their job is to hold Africa down. To hold a black person down. And how are they doing it? They don't want you to tamper with any of their creations in Africa, all these idiotic states, all these artificial boundaries they gave us in Africa. No, because that is the beginning of the chain that is holding us down, and they know it. And the question is, who is a Nigerian? And I will ask you a simple, I want you to contemplate something, Simon, for me.
Go
on.
on.
I ask you now to go and prepare a Nigerian dish for me, what are you going to present? Because if you bring a wedu soup, somebody from the East will tell you that is not their food. They're not going to eat it. If you bring Afan or a big iPhone, somebody from Kano State will tell you that is not our food. If you bring Tuwo, is it Tuwo Shinkafi or whatever they call it, somebody from the Middle Belt will say that is not our food. Ordinary food, there is no commonality. Is it the way they dress? So I keep asking myself every blessed day when I wake up, what is it that unites Nigeria together? And then I discovered it is two things. An innate desire to be corrupt, and secondly, stupidity. Those two things are very, very pivotal. They are the things driving the zoo. People talk about their founding fathers. When the Fulanis are talking, they say our founding fathers, and I keep asking them, Nigeria, your president, so-called, the dead Buhari, is older than the country. Where else in the world do you have a head of state that is actually older than the country in the 21st century? So tell me one place. Only in Africa. Because they came to Africa and they built all these contraptions, and now in our idiocy and stupidity as Black people, we accepted it. As I keep asking all the time, can you go to Europe to build a country for them? They will hang you that same day. If you cannot do the same thing in Europe that Europeans did in Africa, then why are you accepting it? Why are you accepting it? The key thing here is the way we reason. That is the problem with the Black man, how we reason. People talk about Nigeria as their country, talk about Nigeria as their nation, as if Nigeria has any legs to stand on in the first place. Nigeria it has no meaning. It is a very derisory meaning. It means something very terrible and very awful. If I ask in Yoruba language, tell me the meaning of Nigeria, you cannot tell me. If I go to Igbo language, tell me the meaning of Nigeria, you cannot tell me. But I know the meaning of England. It's the land of the English people. I know the meaning of France, or is the land of the French people. It's only in Africa they have all this garbage. And we are, after our university, after our so-called PhD, FFD, SSD, common to reason like a human being, we cannot. Those are the things we are fighting. And those are the things that are very, very uncomfortable with. And that is why today you must pat yourself on the back, and every IPOB member for that matter, for the very simple reason. At last, people are beginning to listen to this, all thanks to what we are doing. So don't mind them. When they go back into the privacy of their homes, they consider what we are saying is right. But outwardly, due to economic, political, or whatever thing that it is, they wish to throw the line of let's keep Nigeria warm. We are not fighting with anybody. All we're asking them to do is to reason for once in their useless lives to be able to. They say insult them. If an idiot, why won't I insult you? I'm asking you, go to a white man's land and tell them you want to create a country in Europe. That day they will roast you alive. They will, in fact, they will first of all inject you. They will say you are not well in the brain. They came to our land, they divided Yoruba into three. Some Yoruba is in Togo, some Yoruba is in Benin Republic, some are in the zoo. You're telling me that a Yoruba man who is in Nigeria is more related to a Canadian man who is in Borno, more than his own brother in the other side of Paraguay, in Porto Novo, in Benin Republic. They speak the same language, wear the same clothes, do eat the same food, everything is the same. But a white man, now we have French Yoruba, those who are in Benin Republic and in Togo. We now have English Yoruba who are in Nigeria. What type of God made us? And let me give you an example before I conclude on this very point. Simon, is this. Do you know that Togo used to belong to Germany before? Togo, they were Germans before. After the Second World War, they used Togo to compensate France because Germany lost the war. And these are human beings in Africa, for Christ's sake. I can't understand this type of nonsense. I can't understand it. And that is why I keep saying that the one of the greatest, disasters to befall me in life is to come from Africa. where people do not reason. How can you have the same people? One part is French, the other part is English. Is English and is Yoruba and the French, are they the same people? The answer is no. And you're telling me that a Yoruba man inside Nigeria should be related with somebody in Borno State. Lord have mercy. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you very much, Onyendu. You have explained this thing very broadly. The point you have made very clear is that they knew that the problem of Nigeria is not based on political structure. They know it very well. The problem of Nigeria is that people are conquering our land, and they are trying to take our land and convert us into Fulani nation and caliphate, and that will be resisted with everything we have. Now, the next thing I want to talk about or ask you about is, of course, like I said, we are going to get tough, this evening. We are going to say things that will provoke a lot of people. And on that note, I'm going to bring to the screen the international acceptable, or should I say, the Declaration of Human Rights on freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Now, when you look at what is going on in the zoo, they circulated some kind of threat letter to the media in Nigeria, threatening them that you must not mention Fulani. When the Fulani have attacked and killed people, you must not mention them. So I'm going to read just very briefly a couple of these international laws. Like here, you see the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Now, the same, another international covenant on human political rights, Article 19, everyone shall have right to hold opinion without interference. Everyone shall have the right to freedom of expression. The right shall include freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally or written, or in print and in form of art, or through any other media of his choice. The exercise of the right provide for in paragraph 3 of this article carries with its special duties and responsibilities. It may therefore be subject to certain restrictions, but these shall only be such as are provided by law and are necessary. For respect of right or reputations of others, of national security or of public order or of public health or morals. Now, in this particular B, when the state becomes the sponsor of terrorism, of course, there is always exceptional clauses. Now, the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights, Article 9, every individual shall have the right to receive information. Every individual shall have the right to express and disseminate his opinion within the law. The resolution 169 on repealing criminal defamation law in Africa by the Africa Commission on Human Rights and People's Rights, 24 December 2010, underlined that criminal defamation laws constitute a serious interference with freedom of expression and impinge on the role of the media as a watchdog, preventing journalists and media practitioners to practice their profession without fear and in good faith. Automatically, this failed in the Zoo Republic of Nigeria, commending state parties to the African Charter parties that do not have or have completely repealed insult and criminal defamation laws. Call on state parties to repeal criminal defamation. Of course, this is directly talking to Nigeria. Now, while I'm reading this, let us go to the European Convention as well, of Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Rights. If something is saying everyone has the right of freedom of expression, this right shall include freedom to hold opinions and receive and impart information and adheres without interference and all that. Then the American Convention of Human Rights, Article 13, is saying the same thing. I don't need to go further. The Asian Human Rights is saying the same thing. Now, I am not going to ask you a question from this, what I've just read now. I am not, it is not to ask you a question, but rather it is about what we are going to discuss from here. Now, looking at the Nigeria state today, you see that the when it comes to international law, we have what we call the state-sponsored terrorism. We have state actor, non-state actors. Now you have in Nigeria who have been internationally recognized by different nations, by many nations, as aiding, abetting, and supporting ethnic cleansing, supporting terrorism by their action, inaction, body language, policies, and name them. Now it is lies in the hand of the citizen of this country. When you have a state sponsoring terrorists against its citizen, it lies in the hand of the citizen to rise up and protect themselves. On this note, you set up the Eastern Security Network against the non-state actors. And we know that the state actors are also there, aiding and supporting the non-state actors. When we are talking about non-state actors, we are talking about the Fulani herdsmen terrorists, we are talking about the bandit, we are talking about whatever name you can name them, they are all the same thing. Now, how do we combat the state actors in the presence of what is going on in Nigeria now, that everybody knew that the state actors are very visible in the field? The Army General called T.Y. Danjuma said, Nigeria Army collude with bandits. You have to rise up, otherwise you will all be killed one by one. Do you want me to play the video so you can, recall your memory on it?
I'm aware of what T.Y. Danjuma said.
All right.
And he said we should all go and buy guns as well. He said
exactly.
Go and buy guns to defend yourself.
And not only him, almost everybody is advocating for everybody to buy guns. But that is not the point. What I'm trying to say is that when you have in a country where you have a state-sponsored terrorist, how do you now, make sure that your people are safe against a state-sponsored terrorism, like you see in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Before I answer that question, before you started, you read out some conventions and some laws guiding people by the UN, by Africa, and all these people, all these very fanciful, beautiful words. They are meant for human beings in Europe and in America, in Australia. That is where these things work. It was not designed for animals in Africa, where people do not reason very well, where people do not think very well. You have a country called Nigeria that domesticated into its laws the rights of indigenous people. Africa Charter on Human Rights, that gives you, Simon, the right to agitate for tokenized republic if you want. It is in the laws of Nigeria. You go to the court in Nigeria, a judge will be looking at this convention that is actually a law, domesticated into law, and he will charge you or she will charge you with terrorism. People don't understand the mess that we are in. In a short while, I will answer your question. But until people realize that what we've been saying from day one is correct, their lives won't be any better.
Before you go further, Ahmadike, before you go further in addressing that, you just made a point now about the self-determination. So let me also bring in the self-determination and read it a little bit for people who don't understand. Not for you, of course, but for people who don't understand.
So it's Nigerian law. It's in the laws of Nigeria. When you do, they say you're a terrorist. You are being treasonable. But it's in their law. Nigerian law says you can agitate for anything you like. It's there in their laws. Please go ahead.
Now, apart from that, Nigeria being signatory to all these international laws, of course, automatically becomes also they are compelled to respect that law. You know, here you have the right of a people to self-determination is a cardinal principle in modern international law and commonly regarded as a jus cogens rules. Now, these jus cogens rules we are going to go into now to tell you what actually, you know, as you can see it, a peremptory norms is a fundamental principle of international law that is accepted by the international community of state as a norms from which no derogation is permitted. And when you look at this particular law or the treaty, I would say it is binding as such on the United Nations as authoritative interpretation of the charter's norm. It states that people, based on respect for the principle of equal right and fair equity of opportunity, have the right to freely choose their sovereignty and international political status with no interference. Now, everybody knows why United Nations was formed in the first place in 1945. It is to maintain peace. Peace, you know, amongst nation and state. Now, before going into, you know, commenting on this, how do United Nations comes in? It is us that have to now educate them about their own laws. That the reason United Nations was formed is to maintain peace. Now, how do you maintain this peace in Nigeria? In Nigeria, in Sahel region, in West Africa, considering the status, considering the situation at the moment, what do you think that the United Nations should do to maintain peace in this region? Because that is exactly what they set them up after the World War.
Yes, what they're going to do to maintain peace is to allow people that want to go via their own UN supervised referendum or referenda, which is the plural of referendum, to allow people to determine where they wish to belong to. We are in a world today where you can no longer shackle people to a dogma that is outdated. We live in a world where you can no longer compel people to do something against their will. That is called slavery. I do not see the reason why some people will still attempt to justify, you know, the clamping down or the demonization of freedom fighters in Africa. One thing you must bear in mind is this. There is a grand conspiracy going on. This is something that Africans must understand. You know the issue of CFA in West Africa, the French franc. France uses euros. But in Africa, the parts of Africa they control, they use French francs. The money that these people use, the currency, the paper currency itself, they mint it in Paris somewhere, and they bring it to Africa. France is a country that I love very much. They supported Biafra, as a matter of fact. I care about them. The problem in Africa, unfortunately, are we Africans. You don't expect these people to come down to solve anything for you. It's for you to solve it yourself. I remember I went to a very influential diplomat's office in Brussels at the EU. I went to his office and we presented our case about how they're killing us and everything, and that we are peaceful and everything. The man said, any day you people are serious, we will know. Do you understand the meaning of this? Any day you're serious, we will know. How can somebody come to your backyard, rape your mother, kill your sister? You're going to UN to go and complain to them. UN will say you're stupid. Don't you know what to do? It's only by repelling these demonic forces that the world cannot come in and say, what is happening. If there is no war in Nigeria, UN will not talk. If there is no war in Nigeria, CNN will not cover it. If there is no war in Nigeria, there will be no emergency debate at the House of Commons. Never. At a time in your life, you have to say enough is enough. What we are asking for is defined in law, and the law protects it. It's called jus cogens, which means in Latin, nobody can deviate from this. Nobody can. It is a fundamental right to agitate for your freedom. It's your fundamental right to do what IPOB is doing. No court, nobody can derogate from it. That is international law, which the zoo signed up to. But we are there every day deceiving ourselves. Let's go to court. We caught terrorists, what's their crime? Oh, they belong to IPOB. And you have a journalist, a Yoruba journalist that went to university condoning such evil. We are in Africa. We are conscientious of people who should be conscientious, condone evil because of one consideration or the other. And I give it to white. Sometimes I say they say I am promoting white supremacy. No, I'm not. I am just being very factual. That is one thing that white people have that we Africans do not have. When you make a law, you keep that law. That is why that statue of woman you see all the time that is blind, people don't know the meaning of it. You go to court, you see a woman with sword. On the left hand is maybe Holy Bible, I don't know, Holy Quran. And you see that they covered her eyes. Go and check every law court. Do you know what it means? That the law is blind.
You know, Fulani has this very stupid and senseless pride in them. I know that their pride won't allow them, they must come. And remember, I will keep reminding you of this every blessed day. This Fulani army will die in Biafra land. They want to move them in. Maybe to start they are doing now is abduction. We are in the season of abduction. Very soon they will try their shoot at sight to see if it will work. But I'm not sure it is going to work for them again, considering that all the entire southern governors have now come together to issue a communique stating it very, very clearly that the way they have been handling things in the past hasn't moved the situation forward. Now what they're trying to do is to try to bring in a new measure. And I want to warn Fulani Janjaweed in Asorok, any measure you bring to our land, we're equal to it. Anything you bring, we are going to face you. You understand that very clearly. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the AIG does, what the IG does, and all these idiots. The more you move men down to the east, the more the north will be taken. But of course, I know it's all the part of the game plan. What they want to do is to emasculate, to intimidate, so we can become wretched, lily-livered cowards. We will now allow you to enter into our land, or send us away from our land. We'll come. To IDP camps in Amazonia. Take you into our land and your army will die there. And the places you left in the north, in Sharia, Core, Arewa North, will be taken over by terrorists and criminals that will never, ever, ever listen to any of you. These are the things you must understand. So we are ready for you. Anytime you want, you can bring the game on. We are waiting for you. But you can never, ever have it easy anymore. All that thing that people come out, you open fire anyhow. You know that if you open fire on the people, you will be confronted there and then immediately. And you are going to die sooner than later. You will also perish. So now you understand. It doesn't matter what you announce or what you're not announcing, but we are assuring you that you are not going to prevail nor succeed in intimidating the children of God into submission. It cannot happen. You can try that nonsense elsewhere. It will work for you. But you see, in the East, it can never ever work. Never ever work. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Because when tyranny, as somebody said, when tyranny becomes a law for the government, massive rebellion becomes a mandate for the people. Because you cannot keep pushing us to the wall all the time, pushing us to the limits, massacring innocent civilians over and over and over again, and you don't expect them to fight back. You must be foolish. I want to remind all the intellectuals and sophisticated morons, all of them, go back a few years ago. The slaughter, the killing of IPOB family members, peaceful protesters, Shia protesters, NSAS. Every time army and police will come, they open fire. None of you will talk. But now in our land, they are always looking behind their backs. They don't know where death is coming from. Because I assure them, they are all going to perish. The people telling you that they have a plan to secure the East, Southeast and South-South, according to them. Armed robbers invaded Asarok. So we are led to believe. Only under this regime, something unheard of in the whole world. It's never been, I don't know where these Nigerians, I don't know who gave them their brain. Maybe it was picked from the dustbin. I have no idea. Some of you may have dismissed this issue of armed robbery in Asarok, but I want you to understand something. It's never happened anywhere before in the history of the world or modern governance. Never ever happened before. They said they ransacked the chief of staff home, Ibrahim Gambari, and Abubakar Maikano, and they stole valuable assets. That is how corrupt the Fulani people are. I told you before that is something the Fulanis they have perfected over the years. When they finish draining any particular department of parastatal dry, they set it alight to destroy every incriminating evidence. I am sure that whatever they may have stolen from the homes of Ibrahim Gambari and this Abubakar Maikano could be financial instruments worth billions of dollars belonging to the people. If you ask, oh, armed robbers came, how can armed robbers, if armed robbers can, or should I say, unknown gunmen enter into Asarok to go and steal state valuables? Now tell me which part of the zoo is safe. They did not sit down to say to themselves, let us look for a way to strategize and devise new security approach to Asarok to guard it. It's Southeast and South-South they're interested in. In the East, Biafra. And newspapers and their editors publish this type of junk every blessed day. And I'm asking them, they have no shame, honestly. Armed robbers came to the seat of government to steal and walked away free. You shamelessly came out to announce that you are devising a new strategy for the East. You have not been able to devise a strategy to keep yourself safe inside Asarok. That is how they reason. It is supposed to be the most secure place in Nigeria. It is now every man for himself. That is why I commend Governor Autumn for what they have done. I will ask the southern governors, when next your meeting, invite your middle belt counterparts, and you see that the zoo will collapse within 2 weeks. Not just collapse. All those things that you have been asking for, they will give it to you. That is why all of you must come to the fullness, or should I say, to the realization that you must, without fail, keep on doing what you're doing in terms of defending your land. You must defend your land. Look at people suggesting. I mean, can you go to, how can I put it, to a gate man in a hospital and ask them to administer any form of treatment because you found them at the gate? Because you found them at the gate of a hospital. These people, they're like gate men in a hospital. You are prescribing a remedy that you cannot even yourself inculcate into the plan to keep your own self safe. You're not safe, but you're busy dishing out directive to go to, we now have a new plan. I'm asking the IG of police, go and secure Asarok first. Go and secure Abuja, where children are no longer going to school. Go and secure Abuja first. Go and recover Medugri. Go and recover parts of Yobe. Go and recover parts of Zamfara. from the same terrorists that you groomed before suggesting how peace can be restored in the East. If you want to use that as a cover to bring in your army, they're going to die there anyway, so there's no need. I got my balloon and car. I will not stress myself on this. Bring them now, you're going to see. And I want to warn our Oduduwa brothers, and I made it very clear to the activists last night, that the Fulanis imported a lorry load of arms and ammunition, and the containers were being escorted by the military last night, and they offloaded this very consignment somewhere in Oshodi. But I'll come to that later on. I will give you the full details of exactly what transpired. And that was why Tinubu said that we had planned to bomb Lagos, something that is undoable in a billion years. In a billion years. They think we are very good students of contemporary history. We know the history of the war. I know personally how people from the West viewed the move by Biafran army to go and capture the seat of power or to neutralize them. It wasn't even an army of conquest to conquer Yoruba people, of course not. It was heading straight to Dodan Barracks in those days to go and neutralize them. I know personally how my Yoruba friends have explained to me their trepidation and their fear over that very expedition led by Banjo then. We know. So we cannot try anything stupid. We can never, ever, ever, not on this earth, antagonize our Yoruba brethren. Our Oduduwa brethren. It's impossible. We can never do it. We meet all the time. We have meetings all the time. So how can we? Are you telling me that all those gallant men in OPC, all those gallant men all over Yoruba land, they cannot do any work? If we agree that they should go and start, disturbing those who are disturbing them, they have more than enough men to do it. More than enough to do it. We don't have to go there. But they lied as usual, as they always do. As they always do. As they always do. But in the north, what is happening? Some of you must be aware of what DSS is doing in and around Abuja. And do you also know that DSS, they also get a cut of the ransom? Are you aware of that? Do you know that the DSS or SSS, they should be properly referred to, do you know that they get a share from bandits? So Fulani people are not even happy owning all the oil wells, controlling the Ministry of Finance, controlling Asura, controlling almost everybody, controlling the defense budget. How many of you here are aware that the daughter of Abba Kyari is the one responsible for all Nigeria's investment abroad? It's called sovereign wealth. Investment in stock markets all over the world is the daughter of Abba Kyari. They control everything. Federal Inland Revenue, every source of finance minister is always Fulani. Even when you plant your joro, or you plant maize, or you plant cabbage or carrot, the same Fulani terrorists will come and destroy it, use it to feed their cattle, and kidnap you in the process. Even that little money you have made by selling maize or yam or cabbage or watermelon, you now use it to pay the same Fulani to release your child, release your father, or release your mother back to you safely. Do you see what is happening? And you'll be astonished. I don't know why the mainstream media in the zoo doesn't want to give this very particular piece of news the coverage that it deserves. How we receive weapons from DSS agents and share the gains by Fulani bandits, Fulani terrorists. DSS that is busy abducting people. Oh, they want us to go into kidnapping and armed robbery as well. That's what they want. So we can start sharing the money. Okay, that's what they're looking for. They are, as I'm speaking to them, they are now in Aba and everywhere, claiming they are implementing security strategy. But the same DSS, I don't know why their National Assembly, I have no idea why these people should not be investigated, prosecuted, and shut down. DSS. Instead of contributing to making your lives as safe as it can be within the contraption, they are making it worse. I'll read it for you. They told a German television, Deutsche Welle, in a recent report that they borrow money from DSS agents. And who are the people in charge of DSS? Fulani. Who are the people borrowing guns and ammunition from DSS? Fulani terrorists. That is why the South must understand they are all in this whole thing together. They're all in it together. As the security is worsening in Nigeria, armed bandits terrorizing different parts of the country have made a startling revelation to the German, I think it is the flagship media in Germany, Deutsche Welle, that they have been receiving weapons from operatives of DSS. You see their DSS, you see them with their uniform DSS. They are worse than bandits. These are hardened criminals, and none of them are fallen. Very, very sadly. The criminals told Deutsche Welle in a recent report that they borrow weapons from the state agents and then go to work to share the ill-gotten gains together. They go, you pay ransom. They go to school. Now I know the reason why they keep sending that terrorist Sheikh Gumi to go and negotiate. They know where they are. DSS will not go and get them or mount a rescue operation to release those who have been kidnapped. Instead, they are waiting for you to pay the ransom. They will tell Sheikh Gumi, tell them to pay, tell them to pay. It's dicey. Operationally, it's not difficult. The terrain is, there is a valley, there is a hill. Talking rubbish. Then you give that 100 million naira ransom to the bandits. DSS will collect their own cut. Maybe take their guns or say, oh, boys, well done. In the same one Nigeria. In the same one Nigeria. Now the world knows because Deutsche Welle carried it. That thing we have been saying for years, that all the Fulani cabal that are in it together, every Fulani person in any sensible position in government is part of this very grand conspiracy to overwhelm all of you. If you don't submit to their will willingly, they will use every tactics, including terror, to get it from you. Now the whole world knows, including the government of the USA, the EU, the UK, Japan, Russia, China, everyone now is fully aware of the fact that Nigerian security forces are the ones fueling insecurity for financial benefits. It is here in the news. Go and Google it, it is very clear. Insecurity, how we receive weapons from DSS agents and share the gains. These are Fulani people, perhaps from Timbuktu, telling Deutsche Welle. And all of you are there shouting one Nigeria, making the Janjaweed feel that you need them, whereas they are the ones that need us to survive. I have asked you this thing before. Go and read the amalgamation document. Lugard made it very, very clear. The reason why we are amalgamating the North and the South is because the North is poor. They have nothing. Till today, they still have nothing. These are the things you must bear in mind. The time we are live and direct, for those who are peddling, I'll come to that thief who Bola made it later on, to those writing junk that Interpol is looking for Nnamdi Kanu. He fled from London. The time now is 7:55, live. Interpol, they know where I am. Everybody knows. If you want to know, you will know. These people are stupid. Cheap gutter propaganda. That was how you managed to put the late dead Buhari in office, by writing junk and lying. You don't know we are IPOB. We are very, very formidable. You don't understand that? We are highly, highly formidable. You must understand it. You must understand it. I don't blame the Fulani Janjaweed. I blame those from the South. Let us believe that after this meeting today, that the Southern leaders, so to speak, or the governors in their various capacities, will now have the need to be meeting more regularly to articulate a common position and stand when it comes to the issue of governance within the damnable zoological republic. Because all of you planning to come and conduct security, whatever rubbish in the East, all of you against the agitation to break up Nigeria. I want to also remind all of you that there was a time when the Fulani Janjaweed Caliphate inspired the northern peasants to rebel and revolt against the Nigerian state. They threatened secession. During that very period, the British government did not send their armies to go and kill all of them. Instead, it was Dr. Azikiwe I don't want to say his first name because I share the same first name with him and it irritates me. It was Dr. Zikiwe that appealed to the Fulani Janjaweed not to secede from Nigeria in 1953. So when you hear a Malam, when you hear Al-Majri writing nonsense on Facebook, I want you to remind him or her, it was you people, the Fulani-controlled northern part of Nigeria, that planned to secede from Nigeria. This is not 1966 coup or anything. Before then, in 1953, the first people to ask to exit Nigeria is the Fulani Caliphate of the North. But today, when you hear them talking, you will think somehow that because then they have not discovered oil. Not to at least something in commercial quantity. Now there is oil, there is a commonwealth, there is money. Dollar must flow from oil and gas in the East. Everybody now wants to die for one Nigeria. But it was Zeke's voice. I don't know if it's a very lengthy article. Maybe that's why some of you don't even read it. I think it was published by Guardian newspaper. Zeke's voice that voided planned secession by the North in 1953. It was Dr. Zikiwe that appealed to the North to stay in Nigeria. They never went to war. Britain never deployed troops to say, oh, you want to break our empire, we're going to kill you. Now ask yourself, why is it that the Fulanis are now deploying soldiers to go and kill people who are agitating in the South? Why? When they themselves agitated to leave, nobody killed them. In 1953, when northern Nigeria were beginning to consider secession from the Nigerian colony, that would soon be a nation, Dr. Azikiwe gave a speech before the caucus of his political party, the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, in Yaba, Lagos, Nigeria, on May 12th, 1953. Tomorrow will be the anniversary of this. That speech, while not disallowing secession, suggested that there would be grave consequences if the northern region became independent from the nation that was soon to emerge. Zeke did not threaten anybody. The British people who were in control of the zoo that they themselves created did not send any army to go and quell the secession. That is the reason why they banned history in your schools. That is why some of you do not know history. The first people to attempt secession from Nigeria were the Fulani of Janjaweed in 1953. Who stopped them from seceding? An Igbo man. Very, very sad indeed. You know, somehow, it's either that God wants to destroy us or we want to bring calamity upon ourselves all the time. Can you imagine what the lives of ordinary people would have been like had Zeke not intervened to persuade the northern Fulani Caliphate to remain within one Nigeria? There is something you need to understand very, very clearly. Nnamdi Azikiwe said the North will suffer because the North had nothing. Absolutely nothing. Their so-called granite pyramid were not... It's not a pyramid at all. They built plank scaffolding and piled 2 bags of granite on top of each other to give you the impression that they have granite when they had nothing. Absolutely nothing. Go and check it and do your own research. Zeke was begging them because Zeke himself grew up in the North. Zeke said, I was born and I grew up in Zungeru. Please don't go away. If you go away, you have nothing. You're going to suffer. You're going to be impoverished. And they listened and they remained in one Nigeria. And now the tables have turned. And what are they doing to those who are agitating to leave? The zoo that the Britain created. They are killing them, they are maiming them, they are shooting them aside. Whereas it is these same northerners that first floated the idea of secession. I hope it is becoming very, very clear for everybody. What they have given to us are headsmen, terrorists, rapists, murderers, kidnappers across the entire length and breadth of the zoo called Nigeria. They do not care. And we caused it. It was the fault of an Igbo man. Now I understand why sometimes I will speak or write very angrily about Dr. Zikiwe. Now I understand the reason why. It wasn't his fault after all. Today we are agitating to be free. Today we are fighting to be free in the East and in the West. And what have they done? The APC-led government of Lagos State, in conjunction with the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, having concluded plans to attack some parts of Yoruba land and blame it on IPOB, just to create a discord between the Yoruba nation and the Biafra nation, and to destroy the cordial relationship that these two agitating nations have maintained very lately. They want to destroy it. Tinubu knows that he's not going anywhere. So he has now unleashed his machinery. Everything in his arsenal has now come out to try to fight us, to try to fight me, and to try to fight the children of God. But it's going to fail. I want the world to know tonight that Tinubu will later pay hoodlums, because that's how they behave in Lagos, to attack some parts of that very city, so they can later accuse IPOB of masterminding the attacks. This is what some unscrupulous politicians, very desperate criminals are doing in Nigeria today. I want to ask Tinubu, who is a thief and a criminal, why did you not come to the pages of newspapers and television screen to announce the numerous sackings of Yoruba villages by Fulani Janjaweed, bandits and terrorists? Because there are Yoruba people right now in Benin Republic. Why was there no hoo-ha about Yoruba villages being sacked by Fulani Janjaweed? Why? That tells you all you need to know about these people and their intentions. Are Yoruba people, I want to ask Tinubu, are Yoruba people not refugees in Benin Republic? Who put them in refugee camps in Benin Republic? Are you telling me that Yoruba media is afraid of their Fulani masters, and in their docility, real damage is being done in Yoruba land? You have the courage to link IPOB to whatever nefarious activities that you're planning to unleash in and around Lagos. But people that pursued Yoruba people into Benin Republic, you cannot write about them nor admonish them the way you have tried to do against the squeaky clean image of the indigenous people of Biafra. This is very, very sickening. It is a very desperate and psychopathic attempt by this very thief, this very gluttonous and insatiable criminal that will do anything to appease his Fulani overlords. The same man that introduced ethnicity and tribe into the NSAS protest, along with the same corrupt and satanic Yoruba media. They thought they were going to succeed. They tried it yesterday and it failed. Only one tweet, I tweeted, only one. The whole thing collapsed. And of course, when they were pursuing Yoruba Oduduwa activists, and they asked us to ask them, what do you have to say? IPOB is going to bomb Lagos. What do you have to say? They said it's a lie. Go and ask their journalists. All the people they call, all the heavyweights, frontliners in Yoruba land, they called all of them yesterday to condemn IPOB. They said, no, IPOB cannot do such. Nobody, in fact, from the South can do such a thing. It's impossible. They were disappointed. One tweet would destroy all their lies. That was why they came up with another one today. You know, they think if they keep writing all this junk, somehow they'll demoralize us. We will say, oh, things are no longer going the way that we want it to go. of heaven, the very oldest language on the face of this very earth.
Because I can say that from what I have just listened from you, it is just not ordinary.
Very wonderful. When my lawyers came to see me, I had a discussion with them about how I'm going to defend myself. I told them that
Biafra has to be an independent state, but it has to be economically viable, and you can't really have that with Nigeria as it is. How do we get there?
We cannot be economically viable if we are not politically viable.
Right.
And political viability means complete and absolute independence.
It has to have, yeah.
We must be independent.
Yeah.
And again, God creates countries and nations, and not man. There are many ways that nations can emerge. It is always an organic process. We understand that. We respect that. What most commentators don't appreciate about Africa, and which most Africans are a bit slightly uncomfortable with, is that somebody coming from Europe, and without regard for your culture, your traditions, your way of life, saying, you are now in one country and your name is Nigeria.
Right.
There is something unnatural about it.
Yes.
I said to the British government, if you had come, conquered my people, which is a natural human process, that is entirely natural.
Right.
If you had come, conquered our people, made us English, I can live with that.
Yeah.
But to come and hand over a children of God over to something completely alien, this same culture that we have in the north, which is an Islamic culture, tried to take us over many years ago, and they failed. You now came and completed the cycle for them. There is something evil about it.
Yeah, something inorganic about it.
Inorganic.
Yeah.
Very, very inorganic. And you cannot, We don't talk about economic development, because before you talk about economy, you talk about things like policies, both macro and micro, the rest of it. You are dealing with people who cannot differentiate between macro and micro.
No, absolutely.
That's
right.
a problem.
Yeah. Education is key for the world outside Biafra, and that's where this starts. The political has to start in the education.
That's correct.
When you speak to people in the UK, people in the US, is there an openness to independence for Biafra?
No, there isn't. It's what you get is very condescending, wishy-washy. These are black Africans. Really, what do they know? Sort of attitude. We know best than they do, and we try as much as possible to enlighten and educate the American and, by extension, the European audience to the fact that before you had freedom and liberty in any part of the world, in Biafra land we had freedom and liberty. Before you had political asylum in any other part of the world, where I come from, there was political asylum being granted to people. That is the meaning of Biafra anyway. Come and join if you believe in our value system. We had a series of both political, legal, and legislative structures that endured for thousands of years. These were unceremoniously swept away in the name of, I don't know, civilization or advancement.
Right.
Therefore, the British must be questioned, or the mentality or the psyche of Europeans and, by extension, Americans must be put to the test to explain, to rationalize why the emergence of states in Africa cannot be allowed to adopt the same organic route by which every other civilized nation emerged. Why is that impossible? That's what I ask Americans and Europeans.
And their answers are not good. There are no answers.
Yeah. They don't have any answers to it. All they say is that, why didn't you just get on with it? I want the same things that you have in America. I want liberty. I want freedom. I want all the rest of it. That is what makes you a human being, or as an animal. And being forced to live in cages in Africa, or being forced to live more or less like animals, is not a situation we are prepared to tolerate for very long.
No.
Death is better.
Have there been armed clashes between Biafrans and Boko Haram? Has there been a defense of Biafrans?
No, not at all, because we are not allowed to defend ourselves. They can kill us. They can get arms flowing in from Lebanon, from Iran, from Saudi Arabia. There are jihadists coming from all over the place, coming in there. There was a plane load of arms that came in, was detained at the airport from Egypt. The Arab world, that is what drives me insane. The Arab world and the Islamic world are busy supporting Boko Haram in their stated aim of spreading Islam to Christians in Nigeria. The Christian world are not reciprocating. They are not coming to our rescue. I don't know how you can defend yourself against somebody who is armed with RPGs and with AK-47s. I don't know if you do that through prayer and fasting. I do not know.
Right.
But that is the sort of condition we're faced with. In other words, as we speak right now, the process of Islamization is gathering momentum, and no one is doing anything.
Right. It's medieval. It's you will convert or you will die.
They crucified some people. Was it 2 days ago? I think we've got the pictures on Facebook. They crucified some people.
They actually crucified.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. There's something ISIS is doing that they're doing that we're going to. You either convert or we kill you. And I don't know why the world expects us to deal with that. It's either there is something going on. It's either everyone else is a Muslim. That's why I say sometimes that everyone in the West is a Muslim. That's what I say, because you couldn't possibly keep quiet when such a thing is going on.
No.
It's terrible.
No.
Terrible.
You're opening my eyes in ways I knew this was going to be eye-opening. I did not realize what is happening. Who is Boko Haram organically? Are they a government creation? Are they...
Boko Haram is, you need to understand the geopolitics of Nigeria to then start comprehending the concept or the ideology that drives the insanity as Boko Haram. In the north, you have the areas you call the Mohammedan Emirates of the North. These are people who are predominantly, by ancient culture and tradition, Islamic. They are Hausa, Fulani people. In the west, coming down near Lagos, you have the Yoruba people, and in the east, you have the Biafran people. Now, the Hausa Fulani people, we are told by the British that they have the right to rule in perpetuity Nigeria. The British in 1953 and 57 were involved in a massive fraud to rig the census results. In other words, they skewed the numbers to always favor the Hausa Fulani people that they may remain in power. And the reason for that is that the British is scared that Biafran people, especially the Igbos, are somehow human, that we can think properly. And we have the oil. The oil wells the reserves, everything is where we come from.
In Biafra.
And the British couldn't retain or sustain their colonial presence in Africa because the USA asked them to leave. So what they now did is to take the control of the oil, hand it over to a group of people they think they can manipulate very easily. That's all. That's what has happened. And now they now believe that they have the right to rule. Unfortunately for them, President Goodluck Jonathan, the incumbent, emerged out of circumstances that could be described as somehow mysterious. He came up as the president, and now they don't like it. 3 people funded Boko Haram. The ex-president, head of state Buhari, another ex-head of state, Hausa Fulani Islamic person called Babangida, another vice president, Atiku Abubakar. They consciously went out to fund Boko Haram because Buhari said after Jonathan won the 2011 elections that I will make the country ungovernable. He said it openly. And they went ahead to do it by killing poor, defenseless Biafran Christians because they know that Christians around the world will not come to our rescue.
Yeah.
They also know that no other people will come to our rescue because they don't want us to emerge as a people. That's a problem.
Yeah. So the British don't want you to emerge as a people.
No.
Aha.
That's a problem.
It's a huge problem.
Massive. But this time around, whether they like it or not, I'm sure the British didn't want the USA to emerge either.
No.
Whether they like it or not, we shall emerge.
Yeah.
Or everything else there will die.
It'll have to. I mean,
Yes.
It's one or the other at this point.
One thing has to happen. Either we have Biafra or we all die. There's no going back this time around. There'll be no exile, no running away. That is our land. We've lived there for thousands of years. That's where we were born. That's where we will die.
Yeah. Are you all willing to go back and be there?
At the drop of a heart, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a heartbeat.
Yeah.
We'll go there.
And obviously loved ones are there. And
they're there. My parents are there.
Yeah.
My loved ones are there.
Yeah.
And it's a land we've been in for, as I said, thousands of
years. And a history and a rich culture and a vibrant way of life that has literally been
obliterated.
Yeah.
You go to the book of Leviticus. 80% of what you have in the book of Leviticus occurs where I come from. 80%. 80%.
The Levitical law.
Everything. It wasn't us. I strongly believe, this is my hypothesis. Of course, I hold on to it very strongly. As soon as the British discovered in the late 18th century, because the same Hausa Fulani people in Zamfara told them, I think I have the map somewhere in London, that across that river lies what they believe to be part of the lost tribe of Israel. All hell broke loose. Yeah. There was then a very systematic and deliberate policy to obliterate our history. The British first said that the Igbos don't have any history. First of all, they removed the name Biafra, which was exactly the name they used to go into treaties with us. They used, you see there clearly written, the chiefs of Insecurity and Biafra. They then quietly took that away to now only take a component of that, one clan alone, which is Igbo. Because in Biafra, you have the Idoma, you have the Igbo, you have the Bibio, you have the Efik, you have the Izon people, which they call Ijo, you have the Shekiri, you have the Robo, and some parts of Igala.
Wow.
These are the 7 people that make up, these are the 7 tribes that make up Biafra land. The British came, then isolated all the rest, those of our cousins around us, and focused their attention on us. But there's one good thing about it, is that in their amalgamation document that they produced in 1904 or thereabout, which I still have, they made reference, the very first time a European is referring to an African race as great. Yes, the man said the great Igbo race across the Niger. And that speaks volumes.
And the Niger's the river.
The river, yes.
And they, so Nigeria is taken from just drawing lines on the map from the river.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the name. I mean, the name is Nigeria, named after a river. Before that was the Royal Niger Company, which is a British company,
right,
which by royal charter was running the whole place. And then from that, incrementally, I have all the paperwork.
Yeah.
So they signed. At no time did we give the British the consent to form a country called Nigeria. At no time in our history. I have all the paperwork. We gave them our land to trade.
Right.
That's all. But they went ahead and gradually decided to form a country. Despised us so much that they handed us over to house Fulani Islamic Caliphate. And now they're killing us and nobody's coming to our rescue, which I think is very sad.
If we come to the rescue, how are we coming?
We need support from USA, from United States government, from the Christian community in the USA, and more importantly also from the Jewish community in the USA. They did something, in fairness to them, in 1968, 69, 70. The Jewish Congress in the USA did something. They tried to lobby the US government and Congress to do something about Biafra. From these 3 groups, we expect a lot to come from them to pressure the Obama administration to support what we are doing, to make sure that Biafra comes to exist. Biafra is the only natural ally that USA will ever have in Africa.
In Africa, yeah.
Natural. We are never going to bomb USA. Are we? We can come here to work for you. We're never going to kill you. That's number one.
Yeah.
We are very, very loyal, hardworking, and friendly people. Go and ask anyone, they will tell you. And I see no reason why a people that believe in the irreducibility of an individual, that believes in liberty, that believes in equality and in freedom, the same creed, the same ideals upon which this very great nation USA was founded upon, why would you not naturally gravitate towards those people? I can't understand it.
Right.
And if you want to stop the menace of Boko Haram, they should support the creation of Biafra.
Absolutely.
That's all they need to do. We don't want them to do anything. Just come at the UN or make a press statement in the White House by saying that the people of Biafra, their suffering is intolerable. We may have to revisit the issue of them still belonging to one Nigeria. That's what they need to say. That's all.
And it would change.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. It's finished.
Yeah. Wow.
We don't need US troops to come.
No.
We are more than capable. We held out for 3 years.
Yeah.
Against the combined might of Britain, USSR, and the entire Arab world.
Yeah.
For 3 years. So we can deal with them. Trust me, we can. We can.
And do they want that? Does Boko Haram want that? Do they want that violent end?
They do. And sometimes in life, you need to confront them violently.
Yeah.
Or else it will continue to fester.
Yeah.
We must meet them.
And that's hard as Christians.
Yes.
That's hard
very,
as
very hard, because we don't take life where we come from.
No.
In other cultures and religion and language, you call another person a human being or a person. Where we come from, we say matter, which means the beauty of life. So you're forbidden from killing anybody.
Yeah.
You don't kill somebody, because that is the embodiment of God's creation. A person is known as Madhu. Madhu means beauty of life. So you don't take life. So it's very hard for us.
Yeah. But you've been pushed.
No, we are being killed.
Yeah.
Killed.
Not pushed, killed.
Not pushed. We are being killed.
Let me ask a couple?
Sure.
I'll sit down here too. Christians, by and large, seem to be oriented towards individual faith, and they seem to be reluctant to face the fact that at times war is necessary. Yes. They call the concept of a holy war being something that you have to struggle with. How have you looked at that? How do you take your faith and the need to sometimes go to war? How does that work for you? How have you? Because you're a very thoughtful man, and I know you've had to look at these issues and defend it.
Yes, the thing is this: my faith taught me to value life, to try to live by the same tenets that have been preached over the years, as contained in the Bible. But there comes a time when self-preservation takes precedence over and above whatever we may think suits us individually. Because by going to war, we are seeking to preserve, in our case, the children of God. If you do nothing, you become extinct. And there will be no one left to worship God, will there? Where we come from. So the best thing for us to do is to try as much as possible to reason or come to some level of agreement or accommodation with our adversaries, which has failed so far. The only alternative left for us is to go and meet them wherever we can find them. And we don't have any difficulties because the reason why you have the U.S. Army is to preserve the ideals upon which this country is founded upon. Even your own body has its own defense immune system, isn't it? Without it, the human body will perish. Everywhere you go to, even in heaven, you have angels with their swords guarding the gates of heaven, against the forces of darkness and of hell. So even if you extrapolate the argument and take it away into the natural world, where nature rather than reason obtains, you will still see the same phenomenon and forces at play, that there is need for you to defend yourself.
I have another question, and that is, certainly our founding fathers had to struggle with that very issue. Is it related to England? They had a strong faith, different faiths, possibly, but they had to come up with a Declaration of Independence. You are the vocal person that has really brought together Radio Biafra. What are the coalitions you have? Do you find that you have... How would you write your Declaration of Independence? What would be included within that? What are the values? Would there be religious freedom for other people who have a different point of view?
Yes, there will be religious freedom. We've had it before. By our very nature, by our name, Biafra means come and join. That's the meaning of it.
Yeah.
Everybody, including the Sultan of Sokoto, can seek asylum in Biafra. Will respect him and will allow him to come in. It's in our nature. That's how we are. From childhood, your thoughts. If your mom is beating you up or whatever, or chastises you a lot, you just run to the next person. All you need to do is to hold them very tightly, and your mom or your dad will never touch you. We've always had it. So tolerance is interwoven in our essence, in our being. Freedom, freedom, freedom. In every way you can imagine it. There is a name, there's something we say will come from Onyenachia, means I can never judge you, it's between you and your God. So that tells you.
Absolutely.
We are the original architects of freedom, and the British will attest to that.
Yeah.
We never had any theocracy, no dictatorship, no kings, nothing for thousands of years. We are not about to start now.
For the first time, I think America, in the face of ISIS going into Syria and Iraq, has opened our eyes to the reality of the desire for a caliphate. We think of that now in terms of the Middle East, but Africa has been facing that for a long time. Talk to us about a little bit about the mission that the Islamic jihadists have within Africa to control all of Africa.
And to dovetail on that, it's because this tolerance and this freedom that Americans feel, that you feel, Boko Haram does not feel.
They don't.
And ISIS does not feel. And as near as I can tell, Islam does not feel. I'm not A judge of Islam? I don't know.
I would judge them because you don't live with them.
No.
I do.
Yeah.
So I can judge them.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is this. If you go back to the statements made by the man that brought this virulent form of Islam into Nigeria, made Othman Danfodio, from Othman Danfodio to Ahmadu Bello, the son, and right up until this very moment, there's been one common theme running through everything they have said, their ideology, their philosophy, their thinking, their way of life, which is to propagate violent Islam all the way to the ocean. That's something you must know. That work has continued unabated. Biafra is the only piece of unconquered Islamic territory in West Africa, and they are seeking to take it. They vowed to take Biafra. Is on tape, which we will supply you with. So you can see what these people are saying. When you bomb Afghanistan, when USA bombs Afghanistan, they kill us in Nigeria. When there is a cartoon of Prophet Muhammad, they kill us. Every blessed day we are dying. We live with the reality. The slow march of Islam has been ceaseless from time, encouraged by the British. Encouraged by the British. Whatever they have been. The British government, you may wish to know, has never supported the independence of any Christian country in the world since the beginning of time. But they have always consciously and studiously supported the emergence of an independent Islamic caliphate.
Yeah.
Lawrence of Arabia.
One of the criticisms that could come your way, or at least questions that could come your way, and that is Biafra does have control of the principal oil within Nigeria, were it to be formed under the present situation.
That's correct, yes.
That is a major obstacle, I would imagine, for people who are frightened of the fact that if you do gain control, they will lose the opportunity of having access to that. How do you approach, as an independent Biafra, the issues that are around the oil, around criticisms, and the resistance that will happen to your independence on the basis of that resource alone?
The resource, we believe in development, which means the oil will have to be sold to our friends and to our partners, and in return, I'm an economist myself, in return we get vital foreign exchange with which, or foreign reserves with which to try and develop other aspects of the economy. We believe in inward investment. We would like companies from countries that are friendly and supportive of Biafra to come in to invest in Biafra. We want investment. We don't want to be like Saudi Arabia, you sell oil and you buy everything else. No, right. We want tangible, concrete investments to come in. We are not going to drink the oil. It's a natural resource. We need to give it to the economies of our friends to keep growing, because a very healthy US economy or a very healthy EU economy is also going to be beneficial to Biafra. So we can find export markets for our goods and services. We are like that. I mean, we're not, we understand the intricacies of world economy and the need to make available to the international market your resources to continue to fuel human development. So, it is not a problem. Our oil fields and that very sector will be open to our friends, and only to our friends. You can't expect not to help us and then eventually we let you in. It's not going to work that way. But if you help us, of course, it's there for all to have access to. We've gone on record to say that oil is not our problem. All we want is freedom. Oil is not the issue. The issue is freedom. Once we have freedom and the semblance of dignity, then we can exist as human beings, because right now I don't see myself as a human being. A monkey is better than me because I don't have freedom.
One of the things that it's always impressed me, the more I've come to know about your country's history, is the productivity of your people through the ages. You have been, and now many of them who have left Nigeria are all over the world, being productive, hoping that this would happen. I know when Israel eventually became its own country, there was a homecoming, and probably millions of people going to their homeland again. Is that part of your vision? Tell us a little bit about your vision for the future.
They will come back, including some of you from the USA as well. That will be the most natural home for African American people, it will be natural. That will be very, very natural for them to come to, because if you look at the map of Biafra, which is right here in front of us, you will see that the rising sun is cleverly positioned on the black strip of the flag, which means that we bring light where there is darkness. That's what we do. Everybody will run open doors, not just for Biafrans, but also for African Americans that have not been able to connect with Africa for very many centuries. They can come back and become a part of it. Because mind you, most of the people that were taken away from Africa to come to work in the plantations of the USA came from the bite of Biafra. This is where we come from. We open our doors for them to try and come back in. Everybody is welcome to come back, to be there.
One of the things they talk about in the Middle East is that none of the countries there outside of Israel pass the public square test. And the public square test is that you can stand on the corner of a street and be critical of their government and their religion and survive. It seems to me this is a stand for freedom and for liberty.
Yes.
And your focus on liberty is a very important part of what drives you.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about your own journey. I mean, you have gone through beatings. I understand you've been in
everything. I've been stripped naked and everything for my faith.
Talk to us a little bit about your journey, because it has been a personal one where you continue to be a voice for Biafra.
Yes. It started very many years ago. I was educated in England. I went to school in London, and upon graduation, I decided to serve my people, because I didn't like what was going on. We have a group of friends, about 6 of us from Africa. We said when we graduate, we pick one tiny African country and go there and try and develop it. Very, very thoughtful and quite progressive of us. And upon graduation, the rest got very blue chip jobs and developed cold feet. I decided to carry on with it, because I felt that the only thing that makes you human is your ability to reason. And as an African, as somebody from Biafra land, unless my land reflects what I believe I possess up here, then I have not made any telling or meaningful contribution to the advancement of mankind. So I decided to plug ahead with it. I went home initially to try and see what we can do to start a revolution on the ground, because the existing order is essentially irredeemably corrupt, as you well know. So we started it, and it didn't quite go very well. I came back to the UK, reassembled, and went back again. We met a few people. We started Radio Biafra, and we started preaching the truth in 2009. And some people were uncomfortable with it. And when I traveled home for a private family ceremony, I was kidnapped. I was beaten, I was tortured, I had people spit at me, some urinated and poured it at me, and for speaking the truth, for telling them that the way they were doing things weren't proper. That wasn't enough. I was arrested before then at Murtala Mohammed Airport. I was detained for 8 days solitary confinement at the SSS headquarters because I was preaching Biafra, had some Biafra materials on me. And after that, I was transferred to Abuja under military escort, a 5-car convoy. I was detained for 3 months, solitary confinement again. And there I met the coup plotters from Equatorial Guinea, Mark Thatcher, or the rest of them. And actually, I think the reason why God sent me there was because to save the lives of those people, I believe. Because had I not gone in there, they would have been killed. But as soon as I came out, I told Amnesty International what was going on, and then they started to sort of fight for them to be released and stuff. So I came, and then I struggled again to start Radio Biafra. People weren't forthcoming. I became homeless in England as a result of it, because I was investing so much in broadcasting on shortwave, which is it's very prohibitively expensive. And then we continued, went on to the internet, that our budget could carry us, and then now we're on satellite. So, and it's been relentless, because one thing is, if you're doing the right thing, which I believe we're doing, you continue doing it until at a time when the world will then come to the realization that what you're saying is true, because the suffering has continued, the killings, the death, the deprivation, the deportation. I'm not sure you know that you deport people. Do you know you can deport somebody from a part of Nigeria to another?
How do you do that?
By forcibly removing them from the streets, locking them up somewhere, putting them in a vehicle, and then transporting them to wherever you want them to go to.
Americans have seen, quote, the Arab Spring actually create more chaos in Africa and the Middle East. It is unchained even worse conditions. As well. Now you're talking almost like a Christian spring. What's different about your approach? How do you move from talking about it on Radio Biafra to actually having it happen? You mentioned, a couple of statements by the government of the United States would help in the UN, those kinds of things. But tell me, how does that move? What's it different? How's it different?
That's what people are waiting for, because people keep asking us all the time, what is the US government stance on what we are agitating for or talking about? What is the UN saying? That's what they want to hear.
Right.
What does America think? And the UN. So for us, that is the trigger, that is the catalyst that will solve a lot of problems. And the world must be able to rise up and be very mature about it, to say to themselves that in Africa, actually, we do have human beings who can reason properly and not try to be as condescending as they've been all this while, or to...
For years condescending.
I mean, there seems to be this very funny thing that self-awareness of criticism works in the West, but you, as a black person from Africa, you're not allowed to criticize yourself or something. I don't believe in that. I believe in being self-critical. If I've done something wrong, I believe in praising myself. How we're going to do it is very simple. The American public is also very critical in this. If the American public can give us their support, that would then spur us on to go back to our people and to say the government may not be listening, but the people that own America are listening, and we can work with them. That will then give them the impetus to go ahead and rightfully possess what belongs to them. Because one thing we're not going to have, which is what we're making it very clear to the world, is this. The status quo can't continue, I'm afraid. It cannot continue. It can't. And in terms of controlling the outcome, the aftermath of any kind of spring that may result, is that you always look at the value system of a people. That is the determinant. That determines the outcome. Those of them that believe in unwavering Sharia Islam, you always know that you cannot have a democracy, liberty, or freedom under Islamic rule. It's there in the Quran, if you bother to read it. It's there. It can never happen. And then you have Biafrans on the other end of the spectrum that believes in libertarian values, not just liberty. We are libertarians to the extreme. When you grow up where we come from, you migrate a few miles away from your father's house so that your parents would even have to disturb you. You go there and grow your own family all by yourself. We come from a country where if you're born a male child, automatically, by right of nature, one day you will become a landlord. You will have a piece of land upon which to build. Irreducible. It never changes. Therefore, in our bones, not just in the blood, we have the DNA of freedom implanted in it. All these things changed, and we're trying to go back to it. So we can never, the excesses of what happens when you have a new African country won't apply in our case, because frankly, we're not like them.
Right.
Can never be.
Yeah.
We are different.
And doing so, as you say, is part of what Americans, what Westerners would refer to as seed planting, as putting a Christian, economically cooperative people in a place where we've really not had that.
Exactly. And not only that, I travel across the stretch of Africa. I travel from Gabon all the way to Gambia.
Oh my.
All the time. And it would please me to see Americans, all these my people here, bring down their friends to come home. on holidays to say, these are my friends, I brought them from the USA and all the rest for us to enjoy. You can't do that anymore, can you? Because you're afraid of kidnappings and all the rest of it, all these social vices and ills. The best thing that America can ever do in terms of its foreign policy is to support the emergence of Biafra. Ever. Because, as you quite rightly pointed out, from Biafra, America can always use Biafra as an example. The same way that Israel is used as an example in the Middle East. Isn't it very funny that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East where you can vote, you can actually stand on the street corner and criticize anybody you like.
Including the Israelis.
And nothing happens to you.
Nothing.
I said to people that criticism can only make you get better. It won't kill you. It won't kill you. It does nothing to you. Somebody saying, oh, you're stupid, you're this. Tell me what you're doing with our money, our taxes. It's for you to stand there and explain. That is why we run Radio Biafra the way we do. So that when we graduate from here into proper governance, by the grace of God, you can be able to stand up and defend your record before the people. That is how America became the strongest country in the world. Not by doing things in the secret. I said this to some, I used to say to them all the time, never be afraid of openness. After all, the greatest country in the world does all their inquiries in the open. Is it the Iraq gate? Is it the Watergate issue? Everything is in the open. Did it weaken the presidency? The answer is no, it made them stronger.
If you had one more thing to say to the people, either on video or in reports, or what would you want to say to Americans here who do value freedom and will want to hear what you have to say?
To those Americans here that value freedom and believe in it, it is also their duty to protect freedom wherever they can, to protect people defending the ideals upon which the USA is founded upon. Very, very critical. It is no use saying I'm an American, things works here for me, because in a not too distant future won't work anymore. You can't travel to London because ISIS will be there, I can assure you. Now, it is the duty of America. I mean, the world is at a crossroads right now. As I said earlier during my opening statement, the battle between good and evil, light versus darkness. So it is either you stand in faith with what you know to be correct than for you to be cowed by what you perceive to be the overwhelming preponderance of the forces of darkness. And because of that, you cower into a corner because they're going to come after you. The disease in your body, if you leave it, it keeps festering. You must confront it.
London was a revelation to me for that very reason. More Islamic people than I had ever experienced in one place, including all over Austria, Hungary, where I was. And there were some there, but London was and there was a protest the day that we were there, and we were walking by Westminster Abbey, and the protest was gigantic, and it was Gazans protesting against Israel, and they were being protected by the UK police, and as is their right to free speech. But one of the signs read "Britain accomplice to murder," and it didn't dawn on me until what you've just said how ironically true that statement is.
It is true.
What they have supported will come to bite them.
That's what I tell them all the time, that the British made a monumental mistake by supporting the death of 3.5 million of my people. The worst mistake ever made. They will come after them and they will kill them. You mark my words somewhere. The British Isles will be overrun by Islam. Because they are there already. Do you know that they don't pay for their parking tickets?
Yes.
Do you know that?
I knew.
The number one name in the UK for a child is Muhammad.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes. Go and have a look at it. It is there. So the UK government and her people supported the emergence of Bosnia-Herzegovina from a predominantly Christian Orthodox Serbia and before that Yugoslavia. They supported the emergence of Albania, also Muslim. And what's the other one again? There's Albania, there's Kosovo as well.
I mean, the US did too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They supported the freedoms of all the Arab countries away from the Ottoman Empire, Lawrence of Arabia or the rest of it. The British occupied Palestine and refused the right of passage. I read Leon Uris's book, Exodus. I don't know if you've ever read it before. I read it. How they refused Exodus to dock. I think it was in Haifa or so, by the British garrison there, saying no to them, that they can't come in. But you can quite easily go to the same Bible that you read all the time and see who owns the land. They can see it very clearly. Because there is something about humanity, I would say, that baffles me. You have before you all the available facts and evidence, and you consciously choose to ignore it. There's something wrong with that person, and also the British state. So it doesn't really surprise me at all. And I've said to them before that you have something against the children of God. That's the British people. Of course they did. In Israel, they didn't want to go away. The British officers were within the Jordanian. In fact, the entire officer class of the Jordanian army that fought the Israel in the War of Independence, where people didn't know this, was staffed by British officers.
Really?
Yes, go and have a look. Go and have a look. The Jordanian army, go and have a look. They still lost. Anyway, now, the fact remains that we must be bold enough. America is the last bastion of hope. That is why sometimes Obama's administration, I wonder. I don't know what's going on.
I do too.
We must stand up and for some time do away with political. I can't stand political correctness. Do away with it for some minute and face the hard reality. If somebody has a problem that requires invasive surgery, you cut them open to get at the problem and then resolve it.
Right.
There is no need applying ointment or trying to be very nice to them when people are festering and dying on the inside. That is what he has to do. He needs to be decisive. The support for Israel is critical. It is critical. There is no way you can use human shield or launch attacks against a sovereign nation from the comfort of a, children's classroom and don't expect some measure of reprisal. When the Japanese attacked America, America responded. When Hitler attacked Britain, Churchill responded. You never allowed tyranny or terror to prevail. Why must other people be allowed to live under that? It's not possible. If you don't help us, we all sink in this one big, gigantic cauldron of deceit and lies.
And darkness.
And darkness, of course. Very important.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What an eye-opening experience.
The very oldest language on the face of this earth. Chiko dikabia mapuni ngani chineke n'oge ndị nsọ na-efewe na isi ala nye anyị na-agọzi aha nsọ ya mgbe onye anyị na-aja mma wee anyị anaghị efe arụsị ọ bụ naanị gị onye kere ihe niile kere eke ma ọ onye kere ya ọ bụ ya mere ndị nsọ na-ekiri ha na isi ala mmiri ọbụladị ndị na-atụ ọla edo ha na-esi nsọ n'ụtụtụ a ehihie abalị n'ụwa niile wee na-arịọ gị mma anyị wee na-arịọ gị ezi ebube dị ngozi iwetinye ọgbara n'etiti ndị iro ka ha rapụ ndị ka ha anyị onye nwe na Chineke na ndị nsọ ka aka nsị ndị dị etu a wee baa ize obodo kwesịrị isi wee laa ya n'ihi anyị wee na-arịọ gị biko n'ike iwe mee ka Biafra wee dị ọsọ ọsọ na ụmụ ha gbagwa na anyị wee na-arịọ gị iwe na-arịọ nlekọta nwanne na nwanne ibi ịhụnanya nke pụrụ iche iwe tinye ụmụ ya ezi mmụọ nke isi anyị aka ajọ ihe na ndụ anyị gọga m dịkọta na Biafra isi ala bulie aha nsọ n'elu
But you know what? they would like you to believe that America is the cause of it. No, I am the solution, and the only way they can get to you is by kicking me out, which is not. I have come. Look with you. After I am done with Nigeria, Biafra will be free and enjoy freedom. Biafra will know the importance of freedom and what happens in 5 years to come. Thank you.
Come on,